everyone, my name is Heather and I'm the Curator of Aquatics here at Josh's Frogs, and today I'm going to tell you how to set up your aquarium and prepare for going out of town or taking a vacation. Most of us do go on vacation or occasionally leave town. When we have dogs and cats, we usually have a plan in place. Sometimes we'll have a friend come over, a neighbor come over, we'll send them with family, we can pay someone to board them. You don't always have that option when you have a fish tank. Number one thing to keep in mind with your fish is that unlike dogs and cats, they don't need to be fed every day. As long as you have healthy adult fish, they can go several days without eating, maybe up to a week. So if you're going out of town for just a couple of days, you don't really have to have a plan in place. The number one thing to do, no matter what you're doing, is make sure that before you leave, do a partial water change in your aquarium, 25 to 50%, and just feed like normal. Don't feed excessively. It may be tempting to throw in extra food because you're going to be gone for a few days. However, this is going to do more harm than good. If this food is not consumed right away, this can contribute to ammonia in the aquarium, and potentially you would come back to either sick or potentially dead fish, which would not be good. So just feed them as normal, do a water change, just make sure everything's clean and good to go. You don't have to do anything with the filter unless you're already scheduled for maintenance. And then basically just make sure if you have heaters, anything like that, that things are functional. And the other thing to keep in mind for your aquarium light, if you don't do this already, it's a really good idea to have a timer. A timer will help keep your tank on a proper day-night cycle. It'll keep from having excessive light. These terrarium timers work just as well for aquariums, and we sell these on our website. We also have a few aquarium or just generic timers that'll work as well. And you generally want to have about 8 hours of daylight on any given day. So if you don't already have a timer, when you're going out of town, it's a good time to invest in one. That way your fish will have a normal day-night, regardless of whether or not someone's coming in and turning off the lights. If you're gone for longer than just a weekend, just 3 days or so, say you're gone for a week-long vacation, maybe a 2-week-long vacation, you're going to the ocean, you're going to somewhere really cool and remote, you're having a great time, you're gonna have a great time, but you're worried about your fish. There are a few other options. So when fish do need to be fed, oftentimes the best option, while we may be tempted to do things like vacation feeders here, or automatic feeders, these are good options, but number one, if you can find someone you trust to come in on certain days to come feed your fish, that is gonna be the best. This is so you can sort of control the exact portion of food they're getting. A lot of times when you have someone who's not familiar with keeping fish, they may not know the correct portion to feed your aquarium. So you're gone for a week, 2 weeks, you have a few set days that you want someone to come in and feed your fish. The ideal situation is that you're gonna have portions set aside. So it says like Saturday, Sunday. You'll have a little bit of flake food, and something like this would be all you need for one day for this many fish, maybe even a little less. And so it's really easy for people when they're not accustomed to keeping aquariums. If you just have the neighbor kid or whoever come in and feed them, if you give them just a whole jar of flake food, they'll dump way more than they need to in there, and then it's gonna be a worse problem when you get back. It would be worse than if you had just not fed them at all. So we wanna make sure that we're doing the right thing for our fish. So giving them little portions like this, and these little deli cups that we sell, these little cups and lids, we sell these are 1 ounce containers on our website, very cheap and easy. And you can portion pellets, you can portion any dried foods like freeze-dried or flakes like I just showed there. The other option is that if you're feeding something like a gel diet, like rapashi, or frozen foods, if you're feeding fish that, let's say, they don't eat flake food, they don't eat pellet food, well then, your automatic feeders would have never worked anyway. So you're gonna need someone to come in to feed them. Again, you don't wanna overdo it. What's really nice is that you can sometimes get little molds like this and have little portions made. And you can sort of set aside and have little baggies, maybe label them, put them in the freezer, put them in the fridge. You could break off chunks if you do slabs of like bloodworms and things like that. You can break off chunks and then label them and put them in the freezer or fridge where someone knows where to get them, and then have the day or the date on them. And that way, again, sort of foolproof. Someone knows how much to feed and what to feed. So sometimes you don't have the option of having a sitter come in. So what do? You're going out of town for longer than a couple days, maybe longer than a week. You really can't have your fish not eat. If you have fish that are able to eat pellets and flake foods, no problem. An option you do have are the automatic feeders, kind of like this here, and I have one out here. They're battery operated typically. They mount to the side of your aquarium, kind of like this. They work. This one in particular works a little better with rimless, but you can get it on these up to 1-inch edge. You set the time on it. You can set when you want the first feeding, the second feeding. You do up to 2 or more feedings a day. You don't need to do that many feedings for fish. I would say that if you do have a fish, and this turtle feeder does work for fish as well. However, it probably works a little better for larger aquariums where you're feeding lots of pellets, like a large African cichlid tank or a large community tank. But you want to make sure that when you're using these, always give them a little test run. You can hit this little feed button and it'll sort of go off, and it can show you how much you're actually feeding them. This is not perfect, like I said. Things like this can malfunction. Things like this could dump more food than you want. But if you have no other option, this is something we do sell and something that you can try, and make sure just test it before you use it. They are fairly reliable, but this one again only really works with like pellet food. The other option you can try, we have vacation feeders, many different brands of them. They're typically a white block like this. And what happens is it dissolves in the water over time and slowly releases food in the aquarium. So the idea is that it contains the food until the fish are ready to eat it. So you have many, many days worth of food here, and then it won't be all released at once. This is not perfect. There are things to keep in mind when using this option. The main thing being that you want to make sure your fish, again, will eat this type of food. So you may want to try it out in your aquarium before you go on vacation. Buy one of these little blocks. They're not very expensive. Put it in and sort of monitor your water quality while you're doing it and see if your fish are eating it and picking at it. If you have fish that don't particularly like this type of food, then this isn't the food for you. The other thing to keep in mind is that sometimes, because of how it's encased and dissolves, it's basically releasing like calcium and other things into your water. It'll boost your pH a little bit, so sometimes that's not ideal. This is kind of like if you have no other options, you can try this. Some people, maybe it works great for you. Again, we recommend that if you can, get a sitter, get someone to come in to feed them. But if you don't have to at all, don't have anyone come in. Just make sure everything's good with your water, make sure the tank is in good shape, tests out good, do a water change, make sure the equipment's good. And just let them chill for a few days and they'll be happy and hungry when you get home.
Thanks so much for watching this video. Here at Josh's Frogs, bringing nature to your doorstep is more than just our mission, it's our passion. We want you to have the most successful experience possible, so we're going to be here for you before, during, and after your purchase, whether that's with our captive-bred animals, plants, insects, or the wide variety of their care products on our website. You always have access to our dedicated customer service team, on-site nature experts, hundreds of free articles via our blog, and many more videos right here on our YouTube channel, so be sure to subscribe. We're always happy to help. Just shoot us an email or give us a call. You can find all of this information and more at joshsfrogs.com. Thanks again, and see you next time.